Hi, everyone. A very good evening to all of you, and welcome to our webinar on Vedic Astrology powered by New Yug. New Yug is your personal transformation platform that helps you get access to the top mentors and the top knowledge so you can level up in your life. And with the same intent, we have organized the webinar on Vedic Astrology for life purpose. Now, thanks to our culture and thanks to our upbringing, we all have been exposed to astrology ever since we were kids. But as we grow up, what we started to see is, how some of our dreams and ambitions, we have been disordered from them because we were told that it's not in our stars, our planets are not aligned, or maybe we've not been able to figure out what exactly is our life purpose. Whenever we are here, when we are here on this planet, I think one of the main responsibilities that we have is identify that what our true calling is, what is it exactly that we are here to do. And sometimes it might take shape of what you work, and sometimes it might also just be something that's your purpose and you want to do it other than your work, right? But how do you identify it? Well, Vedic astrology is one of the tools through which you can get to know about it. And we couldn't have found any other better mentor than the mentor that we have today, Vikram Devatha. Let me give you a quick introduction about him. Vikram is a Vedic astrologer and a data scientist from past 23 years. He has been a gold medalist in data analytics from Indian School of Business, one of the top B schools that we have in India, right? He has been a gold medalist in data analytics. And it is his beautiful, coming together of spotting patterns in data and making sense out of it. This exact expertise that he brings in the field of Vedic astrology as well, that he's able to make sense of this complex astrological data charts and also spot patterns in human behavior. And Vikram typically doesn't do masses. He's very exclusive and is very particular about the kind of people he coaches. But we would really like to show all the gratitude to him because for New Yug platform, he's willing to open this access to all of you, whosoever is interested in learning about it, to know more about it. And that's how today we have uh, organized this webinar. So without any further delay, let's get talking to Vikram. Hi, Vikram. Thank you so much for being present here today and doing this for us for New Year.
Hi, Natasha. Hi. Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
So, Vikram, I think let's just address the elephant, right? Let's just start with the topic itself. That what is Vedic astrology? Because we all have heard of astrology, we all know about it. But what exactly is Vedic astrology? What is and how is it so helpful in figuring out life purpose?
Yeah. So, astrology and the astrology that I practice comes from the Vedas, and it's a way of connecting the skies above with life on earth. That connection between the two and interpreting that connection is astrology. So somewhere it's a divine science for us. It is known as Jyotish Shastra, and because it comes from the Vedas, there's something inherently divine in it. And usually, when I do my sessions or when I give my classes, I usually begin with a grounding. So, is it okay if we just ground ourselves? Yeah, we've
Sure.
had a long day. It's evening time in India. So, just a few moments, if we can all connect, I'll just guide you through it. Won't
Sure.
take
The
more than
stage is all yours. Sure. Go ahead. The stage is all yours.
Thanks, Natasha. Yeah. So, hello everyone. If we can just put our phones on silent mode and make ourselves available for the next 45 minutes, an hour or so. I've put mine on Do Not Disturb. You can find your feet on the floor. See if your back is straight. If you're comfortable, you can close your eyes or you can just lower your gaze and bring your attention to your breath. Just become aware. Just notice how you're breathing today. How fast or slow is your breath? How deep or shallow it may be. There's no need to change anything. You're just bringing awareness to the breath. And now see if you can make your breathing a little slower, a little deeper, a little longer. And let's take this opportunity to synchronize our breathing. I'll tell you what I'm doing, see if you can follow along. I'm breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in with my nose, letting go with my mouth. One more time, breathing in and releasing. Come back to normal breathing. Become aware of where you are seated. And when you are ready, you can open your eyes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for joining me in that grounding. And like Natasha was saying, we use Vedic astrology to find purpose. That becomes a very important topic for me, in particular, on how we practice this unique science. You know? There are many different use cases for astrology, and with the help of Neo Yug, we have come up with a program dedicated to finding life purpose. Um, so yeah, and that's what this webinar is about, to introduce you to finding your calling, to finding the way I would put it is the reason that we have taken birth, the reason we are here in this world, right? Why did we choose to incarnate? Why did we choose to take this body and come into this world? That for me is purpose, life purpose. Can go with many different names, right? It's known as a purushartha in Sanskrit, the aim of life. It can be called as a true calling. It can be called as purpose. And somewhere for, this purpose, it affects all areas of our lives. It's not just a spiritual construct. You know? Say, for instance, if you were to take career, a job, or a profession, knowing your purpose, if you can align your purpose with the work you do, then there's a greater degree of well-being and fulfillment. Many times I get clients asking me, tell me what I'm supposed to do. Should I be in this domain? Should I go into fashion design, or should I start a business? Or, they are looking at domains. But inevitably, the conversation goes towards roles and responsibilities. An easy example for this would be, say, the role of an accountant, right? Very easy to understand. You can be an accountant in the fashion industry, in the petroleum industry, in the automobile industry, or you can start your own practice as an accountant. That is where it becomes interesting, the roles and responsibilities that we take on in our day-to-day lives. And if that can be aligned with purpose, I think we find a momentum that I have not experienced before. For instance, in my own case, I don't get tired, of doing what I'm passionate about, of doing what I'm here to do. Otherwise, it becomes work. It becomes, I'll have to put in effort. I have to put in, yeah, effort and hard work. So that alignment, it's all about designing our lives now. Once I find that purpose, um, can I redesign my life to go around that purpose? And this may not have to be only where career is concerned, it can even be, say, in relationships. The role I take on in a relationship, if it's aligned with my purpose, right? Purpose is a very loaded word, but you get what I'm saying. We call it the raison d'etre, the reason to be, the reason I exist. That filters down in all areas of our lives. If we can identify that, I think life would be would become sacred. You know, life becomes sacred. Life becomes divine. Yeah. Uh, if you have any thoughts, if you have any questions, please share. So it gives me a sense of who we have in the room and how this is landing for you.
I'd request everyone that in case if you have anything that you want to ask with regard to whatever Vikram has explained so far, you're free to ask questions. You can put it in the comment section and we can take it up from there. But Vikram, I have a small question over here since we are talking about life purpose and Vedic astrology. If you can help us explain that, why sun, because typically we talk about sun sign. Typically we ask that, where does your sun lie? Why sun sign is so important? What is this whole fuss about sun sign? What does sun do? And why is it so integral in figuring out and the whole self discovery and the purpose part? If you can help us explain that
Yeah,
part.
yeah. It's a good question, Natasha, because in Vedic astrology, generally we take the moon's position into account. That becomes the starting point. Any Vedic astrologer you go to, they'll ask you what is your Rashi. Rashi means where is the moon placed when you were born? Where was, past tense, right? Where was the moon placed when you were born? Let's make it more precise. What were the stars behind the moon when you were born? Right? And as you know, there are 12 zodiacal signs. So, depending on which stars, which sign, zodiacal sign was placed behind the moon, that sign becomes your Rashi. Rashi is the Sanskrit word for sign, zodiac sign. But the program that we have launched with Neo Yog is on life purpose, right? So the question arises, should moon be the starting point? Starting point, should it be the starting point? Now, if you look at our solar system, we have the 9 planets, right? The Navagrahas, um, all of them going around the sun. Yeah? The sun is the largest body in our solar system, many, many times larger than the Earth and extremely large compared to the moon. All of them going around the sun. The sun is the giver of life in our solar system. It is the giver of energy and heat and light. It is what sustains life. It is the center of our solar system. So if you apply that to the birth chart, the sun for me becomes the center of the birth chart. The center in this person's life around which his whole life or her whole life is revolving. The sun becomes the giver of life. The sun becomes the one that sustains life. in the birth chart. And that which gives life, that which sustains life itself in me, in an individual, is what we call as the soul of the person. The soul, right? The soul meaning your innermost drives and desires, right? In today's language, it becomes your innermost self. So, if we can understand how the sun is placed in your chart, we can understand your true, deepest sides of you, your true drives, urges, desires, challenges, strengths at the core of your being. In Sanskrit, in Vedic astrology, we call the sun as the natural Atma Karaka. Atma Karaka, Atma meaning soul, Karaka meaning the significator. So the natural significator of the soul is the sun in your chart. There are other Atma Karakas as well, functional, chara, all of that, but we are not getting into that. At the starting point for determining life purpose is how the sun is placed, right? Um, and yeah, so to find how the sun is placed in a chart, we take three data points. Yeah, we take the date of birth, the time of birth, and the place of birth. And just punching in these three in a software, there are many free software, and in the program, I teach you how to use one of these software. You punch in these three, and within seconds, you get your birth chart, and you can see what's the position of the sun, right? Now, I'm just looking at some of the questions here, and so the birth date becomes important to understand how the sun is placed, and the sun is what tells us about life purpose. There are many influences on the sun, and even the position of the sun changes its state from chart to chart. Even for instance, if it's the same birth date, the chart will, there'll be slight differences in terms of say what we call as aspects or avastas or yogas. All of this makes every chart very unique, you know. That's just answering Natasha's question. And yeah, Natasha.
Yeah. So, because someone also asked that what happens if you don't have precise birth time? Time could vary
Hmm.
by each one's watch date and year. Could be
Yeah.
precise, but time could vary. So, will it impact?
Yes. So we have techniques to do astrology even when the birth time is not precise. Even in the absence of a time of birth, there are techniques to address questions from such birth, from such clients. But in this program, the one that we are going to share with you very soon, you will learn how to decode your own chart, right? And for the purpose of that program, you don't need time of birth. You can do it with just date of birth and place of birth. Because what I'm showing you in that program is at a slightly, it's very specific for life purpose, right? And for that program, time of birth is not that critical. You can still get a lot by just using your date and place.
Sure. So, Vikram, let's make it more simplified for people to understand. Let's take examples. I think everyone will be able to understand with maybe a much better example if we give them. Let's actually consider that there is this person who, if zodiac we take, maybe the person is a Taurian, born with a zodiac sign Taurus, right? Now, since the sun is in Taurus, right? If you can now help us understand, because like you said, that for this program, the time actually doesn't matter that much. It's just the date that we look at. And by date, the sun sign is Taurus. Now, how, if we look at this person's sun sign, how the sun is telling us that what the person is all about, and what is the kind of purpose that this person can have. And if you can also take us through that, why sun is so important, like what, with respect to a person, what does sun tell us about ourselves?
Hmm. Yeah. So the sun tells us our innermost drives and desires, our true personality, so to speak, right? Eventually, see, the birth chart, think of it like a large jigsaw puzzle. With each planet, Navagraha, and each Rashi and every nakshatra, and all of that being different pieces of that jigsaw puzzle. Now, to make sense of that puzzle, we need to take many pieces, join them together, and then the picture will emerge, right? But when we are talking about life purpose, we are taking only one piece and looking at that piece in detail, right? And that piece is the sun, right? Surya, right? The first Navagraha. Now, that is just one piece in that large jigsaw puzzle, but it's a very important piece. Yeah. And with me, the way I approach astrology, that becomes a starting piece in almost 80, 90% of the cases, right? That becomes my starting point. Yeah. Now, in the example that Natasha uh, is asking about, Sun in Taurus, right? Where Taurus becomes the sun sign. That's how we language it. Taurus as a sun sign. What that means is when this person was born, the stars behind the sun, far away from the sun in the background, were the stars of Taurus. Yeah. Now, Taurus, it's hundreds of stars, maybe millions of stars. It's a segment in the sky. And each of these zodiacal signs is what we call as an archetype, right? Archetype. So, what the ancients, rishis, did was to take many keywords, many traits, characteristics of each of these zodiacal signs and try to give it a name. So then we can understand that sign much better, right? So, Taurus, right, the archetype is that of the bull. The bull, which is an extremely tender, soft, gentle animal, unless provoked, right? Otherwise, it just maintains itself. And all that the bull wants is to go on a tour, a walk, trying to find grass to eat. Yeah. It just wants to graze. Yeah? So it goes out in the morning, takes a route, comes back. And there is this head bull that leads the way. And then there's a whole herd that follows it. Yeah. And every now and then, those of us in India, you will know what I'm talking about. Every now and then, the bull at the very front looks back and sees if the herd is following. If the little one right at the very end is following it. If I approach the little one, the little calf at the right at the very end, I'm going to be provoking the head bull. Yeah. Why am I sharing all this, right? It helps us understand Taurus. Yeah. Now, it's one of the strongest animals, but it has been domesticated by the farmer in exchange for food. It's willing to work hard in the hot sun, plow the land because the farmer gives it food. Right? All of these things, right, I explain in the program for each zodiacal sign, and then we apply that, yeah, to our day-to-day lives. Now, this archetype of the bull, you can apply it to relationships, you can apply it to career, you can apply it to health, to family, to children. This archetype becomes important. What do I mean? Right? Let's take the example of career. Right? How would the archetype of Taurus, the bull, with sun in Taurus, impact career? Right? You just dissect the story. You take the story and you apply it. The bull has been domesticated in exchange for food. That means the innermost self over here, where career and profession is concerned, needs an exchange, will not be willing to work for free. right? They have a tremendous capacity for work, for hard work. The bull is a strong animal, hefty, capable of plowing the land. They're capable of immense work and responsibility, especially responsibility, bearing the load of the whole herd, right? So, Sun in Taurus makes someone capable of shouldering responsibility. Yeah, working hard day in and day out. Perseverance is a very strong trait of Taurus. How do you remember that? The story of the bull, the archetype of the bull, right? Very patiently, the bull makes its way, doesn't run, right? It just walks through the streets. In the same way, Sun in Taurus very patiently will work through any work they are assigned, slowly, steadily. And once they start working, very difficult to push them off course, just like the bull. I can't go and push the bull. If the bull is walking, there's no way I'll be able to move it off its course. So the shadow side of Taurus becomes someone who's very fixed, very stubborn in their approach. Once they decide, it's very difficult to move them off course. Now, the positive side of this is someone who has a lot of self confidence in their approach to work. The shadow side is someone who becomes stubborn. Yeah. So Taurus is very hardworking, very perseverant, uh, with a strong sense of money, right? Because that is what is used as an exchange between the farmer and the bull, right? Food. But in the case of us, you need to pay the Taurian correctly. You cannot shortchange a Taurian, right? Exchange for the work they put in becomes very important. Trust and responsibility becomes a very strong trait. And Taurus will not make any promises they cannot keep. So, in the work situation, if I'm the manager and I have a Taurian as my teammate, rest assured, if they say they're going to do something, it will be done. Right? That's the stability, that's the groundedness that a Taurian can bring into a project. See, I'm just applying the archetype to career and profession, but in the same way, you can apply it to any area of life. But with this program of New Yug, we are using it for life purpose, right? It does not even have to be career and profession, it is life purpose. What you do with your life purpose, it's an open book, right? But the starting point is to know why I'm here. And yeah, this was an example with Taurus.
Sure. So, Vikram, what I heard was that you told us that my understanding is that the sun sign tells you about your very foundational values. So, I can also say that these are my very strong personality traits, these are my strengths. But when you also spoke about that this person is hardworking and also full of self confidence, but the shadow side is that he can also become stubborn. So my understanding is that my son can also tell me that where all I lack, right? Like what all are my weaknesses as well. So sun sign not only gives you strengths, but also comes up with its own set of challenges or weaknesses. Am I assuming it right?
You're right, you're right. So, say for instance, Taurus itself, the challenges usually Taurians face is being addicted to routine, right? They like to do the same thing again and again, right? Like the bull, you know, the story goes in India, in the villages, the farmer takes the bull, the head bull, only one bull, on a walk, right? And he shows this bull the way. And every day henceforth, this bull follows the same route, and the whole herd follows this bull. The farmer is no longer there. He's just shown the bull, the route. So Taurus is associated with doing something repeatedly, right? Which can be a strength. You know, just today I was speaking to someone. I forget who, but he was saying that in order for something to become body memory, you need to repeat that action 7,000 to 10,000 times. Right? So let's say, for instance, I'm playing tennis and I want to master my forehand. I need to practice that 7 to 10,000 times in order for that to become body memory. Taurus will be great at it because it likes to repeat, it likes routine, right? Compared to some other signs which will have difficulty in doing the same thing over and over again. They get bored, right? But with Taurus, that becomes a strength. That same strength can be a challenge. If I'm addicted to routine, it will be challenging for me when I need to be spontaneous. There are some tasks, there are some situations in life where spontaneity is rewarded, right? That becomes the learning for Taurus. You know? And the other challenge that I shared briefly was being stubborn, right? So think of all this as a scale, right? It can be, you can be anywhere depending on many other factors, but generally, this is what we suggest Taurus watches out for. You know? There are
Sure.
many others. I'm just sharing two over here.
Sure. So, for example, when you spoke about that, Taurus is someone who likes to stick to the routine, is someone who's very hardworking. So these are traits that we are talking about. These are the personality traits or the strengths, if I may say so, right? How does it reflect in purpose? Because, like, now, if I look at these strengths, how will I figure out my purpose with the help of that sun sign? What exact? So, what's basically can be the purpose, possible purpose for a Taurus like that?
Yeah. See, the position of the sun will tell us many different things. And here, what we were speaking about was strengths and weaknesses, right? Which I cover in my program, right? It's a very important part of figuring out who I am, what are my strengths, and what is it that I need to improve upon. But the question of what is my purpose, right? We go back to the archetype. I'll give a very simple example. Now, in this case, the archetype of the bull, where the bull leads the way and the whole herd follows it, right? What it tells me about Taurus is that it is very dependable, it is very family oriented, and it likes to make sure that the whole herd, the family, is following it, right? So Taurus gets very closely associated with taking care of family, providing for family. However, you want to define family, it can be team, it can be family, it can be a relationship, however you want to define. But Taurus, if the roles and response, if the purpose, let's talk about purpose, becomes looking after those who are dependent on me, right? That will be very fulfilling for a Taurian, right? As opposed to looking out for oneself, right? So, to give an example, if someone is searching for a job, can you find something where you have a team that you look after and take the whole team forward? Not as, does not have to be as a leader, but someone who provides the ground, who's rock solid in taking care of the needs of others. Taurus is an earth sign, right? We have four elements: fire, earth, air, water. Earth sign is all about providing the material comforts and luxuries for those who depend on me. Now, see how that can filter into all areas of your life. And here we've just taken one thing of the archetype of Taurus. Right? See how that can apply to different areas of your life. providing comforts and luxuries for those who depend on you. In a team setting, providing the team with the resources they need in order to function better, right? It can be extremely fulfilling for a Taurian.
Sure. Okay, so you added something very interesting right now because we were just discussing about sun sign and how sun sign helps us identify the purpose. You also spoke of the element, right? So how elements can also like do they influence a life purpose, or they are a kind of roadmap or a strategy to walk on the path of purpose?
No,
How would you
no,
explain
no,
it?
none of that. So the element for me is a building block of the sign, right? But not just the element. We have something called the dualities. Dualities meaning plus and minus, male and female, masculine, feminine, yin and yang, however you want to call it. We have the modalities, which are the charastira and dvisvabhava, cardinal, fixed, and mutable. And we have the elements, four elements: fire, earth, air, water. Right? These are what makes up a sign. So when we are trying to understand a sign, in this case Taurus, we look at all these different building blocks. What duality is that sign? Is it yin or yang? Taurus, for instance, is yin. Yin is a Eastern philosophy thing, but you get the idea, right? It is withdrawn, introverted, likes to be by itself, right? All of that. Yin, right? Modality, it is fixed. And we spoke about fixedness, right? So, which translates into someone who's either very self-confident in oneself or who becomes stubborn. Very difficult to get them to change or get them to be spontaneous, right? That is the modality. And then we have the element. So Taurus, for instance, is earth, and earth, there's so many characteristics of earth. Say, for instance, earth is very practical. So now if we apply that to purpose, Taurus will be very practical in their approach in whatever they take up. Or let me put it this way, right? If the sun is in Taurus, if the approach is to be practical and efficient in the use of resources, it can be very fulfilling. See, I need to clarify one thing, and I usually do this in almost every session. The birth chart does not tell you what you should do, my belief. Yeah. Instead, the birth chart tells you tendencies and possibilities at play, and you have to choose which direction you go in. That is your choice. Sometimes the choices we make will be hard to follow through. Sometimes it will be easy to follow through. We are not saying that you should choose the easy path. Sometimes you have to choose the tough path. Say, for instance, I always give this example, the chart of an alcoholic, right? The natural tendency will be to continue to drink, to continue to go in that addiction. That will come easy. We are not saying you should continue in your addiction, right? You need to fight your addiction if you want to become a better person. And in Vedic sciences, self growth, self evolution is the ultimate aim. So then you have to go against the currents, go against what your chart is saying to be a better person. So let's apply that to Taurus now. Yeah, Taurus and career and profession. What comes naturally to this person is to be in a routine. What comes naturally for Sun in Taurus is to be practical because it's an earth element. But you have to choose, is that something that is required for what you're doing? Say, for instance, if you're composing music or you're on the dance floor, you need to be spontaneous. There is a richness that comes in by being spontaneous. But that goes against the currents, that goes against the chart for Sun in Taurus. So therein lies the growth. But now I'm doing it with more awareness. I know that these are my strengths and I know these are my challenges. So, how can I be more kind to myself in addressing these challenges in a small way, step by step, right? Rather than pushing someone off the deep end, saying, okay, now go dance. Okay, how can you do it more gently, knowing that spontaneity comes a little difficult. Yeah?
So, what I heard is that, for example, you spoke about yin and yang, you spoke about elements, duality, modalities, right? What I heard was that these are also uh, defining factors of your personality traits other than your sun sign, right? These also give you certain traits from your of your personality, but like you said, that what you are supposed to do, if that is in contradiction to or contrast to what you are, right, then you figure out that how do you basically go about it. So what we are saying over here is that your sun sign and all these the duality, the yin and yang and everything, they help you with knowing yourself better. It's a tool for
Exactly.
self discovery, your personality
Exactly.
strength. And
Exactly.
through your sun sign you also get to know that what should be your life purpose. But if on the path of your purpose, if any of your trait you feel is kind of not aligned with what you're supposed to do, then you figure out that how you still move on that path of purpose, right? So
Correct.
I look at it that these are the possible challenges, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
now also help us understand, since we have cleared it till over here, that then how does one, looking at one's own chart, and because this is one beautiful analogy that you always give, Vikram, that and this is what we all at New York really love about you, is that you have never used the tool of Vedic astrology as something to instill fear in people. You've always been the one who has always spoken that, you go ahead, do whatever you want. Vedic astrology can tell you whether this is something where you just need to float and you'll reach the destination, or whether this is something where you need to build the boat so you can actually swim up against the current, right? So help us understand that, looking at the birth chart, how does then one cope up with the challenges so that one can still walk on the path of purpose and embrace it?
Yeah. So, looking at the birth chart, we understand the strengths and challenges and also the purpose, right? Based on where the sun is placed. Now, once I want to implement that into, say, my work or my profession, I know what is going to come up as a challenge, and then I can take appropriate action, right? So, like you're saying, Natasha, this is a tool for understanding myself, right? It's part of the Vedas, and the objective of the Vedas is evolution, right? To know myself. And because this is part of the Vedas, the objective of Vedic astrology is also the same, to know myself and to take actions with awareness. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think I did understand. Um, so for example, just again one more example, that someone's life purpose is, maybe supposedly say that, they want to be a leader, right? They
Hmm,
want to at that, not authority, but at a leadership position. But
hmm,
they might have a trait wherein maybe they are introverted, or maybe,
hmm,
they like to
hmm,
be among themselves. So that's a
hmm,
challenge. That's like one of their foundational traits, maybe, but that's a challenge
hmm,
on their path to purpose. So now
hmm.
here, if you can now explain with the help of this example, that then
Right,
through this example, how do we figure out how to cope
right,
up with this challenge?
right. Great example, no? So let's say Sun in Taurus is placed in a leadership position, right? So now apply the archetype. archetype of the bull that is leading the herd and keeps looking back to see if the herd is following it. The leadership style of Sun in Taurus becomes one where it wants to provide for the organization and for everyone in the organization, take care of all their needs. The bull needs the farmer to show the way, right? So Taurus, Sun in Taurus, is always looking for someone else to take the lead. But here, this person is in a leadership position, right? So you see, Taurus is considered to be a sign that follows and is able to do the same thing many times. But now, when it's placed in a leadership position and it needs to take initiative, it becomes a point, something that the person needs to learn, right? Taking initiative is where this person needs to grow because that's the position they find themselves. They need to see how they're going to do that.
Sure. So we are saying that our life purpose can be different from the kind of life that we are already living or
Exactly.
manifesting,
Yes. Yes.
right?
That's
There
what we are
can be a
saying.
misalignment. And
Yeah.
through this, if you understand how to read and interpret your own birth chart, you will
Yeah.
be able to figure out that how do you align the life that you're
Correct.
manifesting with the life that you are supposed to live or your purpose, right?
Correct. Very well put, Natasha. So the sun is your innermost self, right? Your deepest drives and desires. And with Sun in Taurus, the deepest drives and desires is to, very, very crudely saying, is to do something over and over again, right? I'm just taking that as one thing because we've spoken about it so much. The ascendant tells us the life that we manifest, right? Again, in the program, we go into what is ascendant and how do you figure that one out and all of that. Now, if the ascendant of this person is, say, in Aries, Aries is a cardinal sign that wants to take initiative. So they could find themselves very much in a leadership position, say in Aries, or if ascendant is Leo. But their sun sign is Taurus. So their innermost self is one that likes to follow what the farmer is asking the bull to do. The innermost self wants to look after the family and whoever depends on it. But the ascendant in Leo or in Aries, they need to lead an organization. How do you balance the two? The external world, the physical reality is asking something of me, and my true self, my innermost self, wants something very different. Many times, this is the case, where the life that we manifest is very different from what we really want. Right? What we really want is purpose. That's what we are calling as purpose, right? So, in other words, what we are doing is very different from our wishes, from our dreams. How do we bring the two together is what this program is all about. But for that, I need to first understand, become aware of my dreams, become aware of the life that I'm creating, and then find strategies using the birth chart to align the two.
Got it. Got it. So, are we also saying, since you said that we only take into consideration the date of birth, by that logic, everyone who was born in the zodiac of Taurus, right? Because they would also share the same yin and yang sign. They would share the same, whether it's a cardinal or it's a mutable sign. They're going to share everything. So, all of those people are going to walk on the same kind of purpose. Are we implying that?
Yeah. Yes and no. So, yes, because the sign is Taurus, what you said is right. It's the same element, the same duality, the same modality, but the planets are never static, right? The planets keep going around the sun. So, even if the birth date is the same, the positions of the planets is going to be different from chart to chart. And the sun is only one piece in that jigsaw puzzle, right? So, to understand a person completely, we need to look at the whole chart, and then every chart is different, right? Every chart is different. In fact, we can mathematically prove that the same planetary combinations never repeats. In the history of our solar system, in the lifespan of our solar system, you'll never get the same chart again. But then your follow up question will be, what if two people are born on the same date? Then is their purpose the same? Right? Because on the same date, the positions of the planets are the same, right? Say, for instance, today, right? Sun is in Cancer at the moment. Everybody born today, Sun is in Cancer. The positions of the planets are the same. Then, are we saying that all of them have the same purpose? So, one of the things that we are told when we study astrology is that we should also consider the era in which the person is born, the culture in which the person is born. Right? Era, well, it doesn't matter because we're talking about today, and everyone born today are of the same era, but the culture will be different, right? If two people are born today, one, say for instance, in a political family, and another, for instance, in a family that does business, the culture is different. We need to take that into account when we interpret a chart. But in this program, what we are doing is we are teaching people how to interpret their own chart. So they will automatically apply it to their culture, to their context, right? So it's kind of addressed implicitly.
Sure. And I think you also speak about one more governing factor, which are the aspecting planets,
Right,
which when I heard made a lot of sense to me that irrespective that whatever date you were born on, whatever year you were born in, uh, irrespective of that, you might have certain planets that are aspecting your sun, I'm assuming, right? And
right.
that aspecting planet give you certain strengths, as well as it also comes
Yes,
along with its own set of challenges, right? Which
absolutely.
can influence your purpose.
Absolutely. So, say for instance, someone born in Taurus, right, across several different years, if we can compare people who have Taurus as the sun sign, but born on different years, then the positions of all the other planets will be very different across all these different birth charts. And what that does is each planet, each Navagraha, casts an influence on every other Navagraha, right? And this is known as aspects, right? What do I mean, right? In ordinary, everyday language, if I stand in front of a priest, I feel a certain energy from the priest. If I stand in front of a policeman, the energy is very different. They're not saying anything, they're not doing anything, they're just standing in front of me, but I can feel a very different energy, right? This is what we call as aspects. When a planet stands in front of another planet, it sends a certain energy to the other planet, and thereby it influences how that planet behaves. So in this program, we've also covered that, how do you interpret aspects? Not only that, we've also covered what happens when no planet aspects the sun. The program is only on the sun. We've also addressed the ascendant, but primarily it's about the sun. So aspects on the sun will change from person to person, even if they have the same sun sign, right? Which changes your life purpose.
Right. So, in short, what Vikram is trying to say over here is that with the help of your own birth chart, you can figure out not just your core personality, but also figure out that what exactly are you born to do, what you're supposed to do. If the life you are manifesting in is not aligned with your purpose, then how do you align that? What are the challenges that it can possibly throw, and how do you cope up with that looking at your sun sign? How do all these, duality, the elements, the yin and yang, all of this, how does that influence your sun sign? What kind of traits does it lend onto your sun sign, which also helps you in your purpose? And what are the aspecting planets that are aspecting your zodiac in a way, kind of influencing your life purpose? And then how, again, how do you bounce back from it? All of this, what Vikram has been repeatedly talking about is he has crystallized all of this in a program that is co-curated with us, right? See, astrology is a really very wide subject, right? You cannot explain this to anyone, or no one can learn it in like maybe 1 day or 2 days, right? But what Vikram has tried to do over here is that he's crystallized his 23 years of knowledge, his experience, into like 3-hour program specifically dedicated to life purpose, wherein we are only looking at sun sign, and then what exactly the purpose can be and how you walk on that purpose and embrace it, right? This is what he has done in this program. And why is this so special is because see, the idea is that we want to, and Vikram also is a huge advocate of empowering people. He wants to give that accountability back into your hands. He wants to give that power back into your hands. Because, the kind of society that we are living in, we go to some expert, that expert might tell us something which might demotivate us or distort us, or we might start to think that, what, this is not for us. Or we what we end up doing is that we kind of jump from one expert to another, and then to another, and then to another, which is financially and emotionally very crippling, right? So his idea is that why should people go to someone? Why can't people be empowered enough that they can actually read and interpret their own birth chart, so that they don't have to depend on anyone? And even if you want to go to someone, at least now you have basic knowledge of decoding your own birth chart, making sense out of it, so that when you go to someone, you know that what the person is talking about, and not getting carried away by whatever they're telling you, right? And what is most beautiful then, that you can actually learn it at your own pace, in the comfort of your own home, in couple of hours, right? That's the kind of program that Vikram has curated with New York, wherein you can get to know your life purpose with the help of your birth chart. He is telling you how to create your own birth chart and how to read and interpret it, so that you can figure out your life purpose. In fact, you know what? I'd like to share the screen. Let me just take you through that, how what all the program consists of. Wait a minute. Yeah, so if you can see my screen, this is the program Celestial Guidance, Your Life Purpose Revealed Through Vedic Astrology, right? Now, three things that, of course, you're going to discover over here is that you're going to uncover, you're going to unlock your true life calling, your purpose, your dharma. While you walk on that path, so many times we come across challenges, and sometimes just get stuck in this pattern, and you're not able to understand that why these things keep on happening with me, right? So how do you bounce back from that? And the best part is that Vikram has not suggested you anything where you have to do a puja or you have to do any ritual, because we understand now that every person is going to be, into rituals. What he has tried over here is that he's given you lifestyle oriented suggestions. So that is also going to help you create a better life for yourself. For example, in this program, the kind of remedies he has suggested you is something like, spend more time in nature, or just gratitude, or practice gratitude, or do journaling according to your zodiac and according to, the other factors that he has talked about. That's the kind of remedies that he has suggested. So it makes sense, also sense to the rational and logical minds. And you're also going to learn how do you align the life that you're manifesting with the one that you want to have. Again, there is no personal chart reading that is happening over here, because he is teaching you how to read and interpret your own chart. So he's not reading any chart. There are no religious rituals that are given, and there is no fear mongering. He is not the one who's ever going to tell you that, you can't do this because your zodiac doesn't support this. Never. In fact, he's the one who will tell you, if you want to do this, let's figure out a strategy according to your sun sign that how you can reach there. That's exactly what he's done over here, right? He's going to talk about, like I said, the birth chart. There is also an element of that, then how much is destiny and how much is free will, right, on your path of purpose. He's going to talk about the sun sign, the core of you. What is your personality, what are your traits, what is the archetype of each and every zodiac, and how does that define your purpose. What are the strengths, weaknesses, and challenges that your zodiac throws at you, and how do you again uh, cope up with it with lifestyle driven solutions? What are the aspecting planets that can influence your life purpose? And again, how do you bounce back from it? And he's also spoken about something called soul evolution, that at what stage is your soul at, right? There are four stages to your soul. So what stage is your soul at? You also get that insight into the stage of evolution of your soul. So we have five modules, six, in fact, six modules in this program, and this all has been crystallized. I think it's close to 3 hour of program. He has literally spoken about each and every zodiac. There are videos, dedicated videos for each and every zodiac that there are. You can choose to just check out your one, but typically what happens is that we also go and check for our family members, our friends, right? That's the program that he has curated with New York over here. And I'd like to request my team if they can share the link of the program over here. So anyone who's interested to enroll for this program, this is highly recommended. Please go ahead, guys, and buy this, because this is going to give you such a beautiful understanding of yourself. And again, like I said, that even if you want to consult someone tomorrow, you're going to have that knowledge, so you can talk and discuss that from that space of understanding and not just follow anything blindly, right? My team member has shared the link of the program. You can definitely go ahead and check it out. Also, what Vikram is doing is, if the program is not your calling, then he also do one-on-one consultations, wherein he of course first understand that what exactly is your problem, what is it that you're struggling with. He discusses it with you, and then looking at your sun sign, he tries to he doesn't give any predictions. Prediction is not his thing, but he definitely helps you understand that what your sun sign is trying to tell you and what could be the purpose, right? So again, I'd like to request my team if you can also put in the link for his consultation call, one-on-one consultation call. So anyone who's interested, please go ahead and check it out. And now, before I move on further, there were a couple of questions, Vikram, if we can quickly address them. So
Sure.
there was one by Roli Mishra. She's asking, if I'm right, taking into consideration the sun sign will be Western astrology, as Indian Vedic astrology takes moon sign as the base. Please help me understand.
Yeah. So let's get one thing straight, that both Western astrology and Vedic astrology considers all the planets, all the Navagrahas, the Sun, the Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn. Western astrology also considers Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. But in Vedic astrology, we don't consider that. Instead, we have Rahu and Ketu. All of them make up the personality of a person, right? Now, in Vedic astrology, the starting point is usually the moon sign, but that depends from astrologer to astrologer. Some of them may start with the Lagna, the ascendant. Some of them start with the Rashi, which is the moon sign. For me, it depends on the question. Depending on the question, I consider a different starting point. Now, because this program is about life purpose, I prefer to start with the position of the sun. The sun exists in Western astrology, the sun exists in Vedic astrology. What we are talking about is the sign that the sun is placed. We consider that to answer the question of life purpose. So, yes, in this program, we'll be considering the position of the sun as per the Vedic astrology birth chart. So, I also teach you how to make your own birth chart in this program using Vedic astrology software. And using that software, you will get the position of the sun, and we will decode that position.
I hope, Rory, that answered your question. Another one that we have is by Nelsie. Nelsie is asking how different would be the traits of the moon sign and the sun sign.
Yeah. So let's rephrase the question. The question is actually, uh, what does the moon sign tell me about myself? What does the sun sign tell me about myself? Right. I think that's the question that we should answer. Every Navagraha is used for a different purpose, right? So, for instance, sun, one of the things we use the sun for is to decode purpose, life purpose. I can also use sun to examine my leadership style, or I can use the sun to understand how I relate to authority in my life. There are different reasons I use the sun. I can use the sun to understand the health of my heart, right? What do I use the moon sign for? The moon is the mind. So, if I want to understand the mental health of a person, if I want to understand how someone's emotional intelligence is, if I want to understand how I relate to the world around me from the standpoint of the mind, not from the standpoint of the soul, but from the standpoint of the mind, then I use the moon sign, how the moon is placed in the birth chart, right? What does sign mean, right? Moon sign, sun sign. What does sign mean? Sign are the stars behind these planets when you were born. So, when we said Taurus as sun sign, that means the stars behind the sun were Taurus. But even the moon can be placed in Taurus. In which case, if I want to understand the mind of this person, the emotions of this person, how they respond or react to stimuli, then I will use the moon, the position of the moon at birth. Right? So now take some other planet, Mercury. It tells me how I communicate and express myself, what I'm interested in learning about. Venus tells me about relationships, tells me about my likes and dislikes. Mars tells me about where I put my energy in. Each planet is used for a different purpose, a different reason, right? So, depending on the question, we analyze a different part of the birth chart, right? So the moon is used, you can think of it as the mind or the emotions. But the traits of the sign will still be the same. Say if moon is placed in Taurus, the traits of the sign is the same because it's Taurus. But how you interpret that archetype changes because now you're interpreting it from the perspective of the mind or the perspective of emotions, not perspective of purpose.
Sure. So I think, Nelsie, that answered your question. Um, Moving on to the next fun one. I can't pronounce the name, but it says, I wonder if you choose your team based on their Rashi.
That's a strategy, right? Not just team, even your partner, right? Or the kind of project, the kind of company you work for, the kind of responsibility you take up. You choose it based on your sign, your Rashi. But yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Fun man asks, first tell me how to identify traits. I think that's what the whole program is all about. That's what he has spoken at length, that you look at your son to know about your identity traits. And that's what he has taught in the program, that how do you decode by looking at your birth chart, how do you decode what exactly are your traits. So for that, you'll have to enroll for the program. Kavita has a question. Will twins have the same chart and purpose?
Yeah. See, we have something called divisional charts in Vedic astrology, not there in Western astrology, right? Divisional charts are derived from the main chart. Yeah. So we have something you would have heard of this called the Navamsha, the ninth divisional chart. We have almost 16 divisional charts, and each of them divide the main chart into smaller sections and make a new chart, right? In the case of twins, I would consider something called the D30, the 30th divisional chart, or even the 60th divisional chart, Shashtyamsha or Tramsha, in order to differentiate between the characteristics of these two twins, right? And those divisional charts will be different. The main chart, known as the D1, it may appear the same, but the divisional charts will be different.
Sure. Natasha says that it's highly recommended. Thank you so much, Natasha, for that. And yeah, I think that's all for the questions. I'd again like to remind all of you that my team has already pasted both the links of the program as well as for the one-on-one consultation in the comment box. You can check it out there. And just to give you a quick refresher again, that it's an on-demand self-paced pre-recorded program. That means that you can watch it in the comfort of your own home, finish it at your own pace. Don't worry about it. Once you get the program, you have lifetime access to it, so there is no validity period as such. The validity is for lifetime. Once you buy it, it's all yours. And we have covered specifically and strictly from life purpose point of view. So Vikram will take you deeply into the sun sign, what kind of traits it gives you, what strengths, how do you decode your life purpose out of it, what are the possible challenges, what can be the possible solutions to bounce back from those challenges. Again, all the remedies that he suggested, these are lifestyle oriented remedies. He has spoken about whether your sun sign is yin or yang. He's spoken about what element it is. What exactly do all of these mean for your sun sign? That means what are the kind of traits that they are lending onto your sun sign. That means that also helps you in your life purpose. What are the aspecting planets that can govern your life purpose, challenges that it throws, and how do you bounce back? And again, you look at your sun sign to understand the lifestyle oriented solutions that he's provided. All of that he has covered in this, so that you can read and interpret your own birth chart, understand what are you born to do, right? So if you're someone who is still confused about your life purpose, this is the program that you need to enroll for, and this is the mentor that you need to actually learn it from. So, guys, in case if there's no other questions, we'll wrap up the session. My team has also given a WhatsApp number just in case if you want some more information, you can drop us a hi over there and we would definitely revert back to you. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being here and going through this webinar with me and Vikram. And we hope that this has been able to solve certain curiosities of yours. And Vikram, thank you so much for doing this with us every time and taking us on this journey of planets and stars, and helping us understand that how important it is to live and being a purposeful, creature on this planet. So thank you so much, and we hope that you
Yeah,
also had a
Shasha.
good time.
Thank you. It was wonderful, wonderful doing this with you as always. And yeah, I'll see you around.
Thank you. Any last words, Vikram, that you'd like to say to our viewers? Anything that you'd like
And
to
any
comment?
last words? Yes, what comes is that astrology is only one tool to understand purpose. It's not the only tool, but it's one important tool. So the quest is to understand purpose one way or another. Let's do it.
That's a very beautiful way to put it. So, thank you so much, Vikram. Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of it. And we'll see you next time. And in case if there are any queries, please feel free to ping us. We'll see you next time and take good care of yourselves. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Good night.
Bye bye.